Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the weather warnings as we still have some yellow rain warnings issued at the moment. Even though that real heavy rain that we've seen in Scotland is now starting to subside, we still have a yellow warning issued for the rest of today, and actually a warning issued now for Tuesday, not because of the direct impacts of that rainfall. It's going to be heavy but nothing spectacular. It's the fact that the ground is so saturated that even a moderate amount of rain that wouldn't normally warrant a warning could cause some significant issues. So we'll have a look at the latest from the live radar and those weather warnings, and also have a look at the UKV to see what is in store for the rainfall over the next few days. Elsewhere, it's been a pretty stunning day further southwards. It's been a stunning weekend, really, with temperatures into the mid-20s, and we're able to see how long those temperatures will last as we head into this upcoming working week, and how they will break down, as most likely we'll see some quite heavy rain further southwards through the middle part of this week as we eventually see Atlantic air move back in. As we progress into longer range, though, as we'll see on the GFS, GM, ECWF and the ensembles, there is a very changeable outlook, with perhaps some colder northerly winds arriving at times, but equally some warmer southwesterly winds. The overall pattern, though, is looking like it's going to be fairly unsettled. We're not going to see much persistent dry weather, maybe a day or two here or there, but a lot of the time we're going to be very unsettled, with lots of low pressure coming in off the Atlantic with fresher, colder air masses, but equally some milder air masses at times. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, do like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see at the moment, for most of England and Wales, it's bone dry, pretty stunning with loads of sunshine. Very warm here, with temperatures, as I said, into the mid-20s. But for Scotland, it's been an abysmal last 48 hours or so, with some areas seeing non-stop rain since Friday afternoon and evening. Luckily, though, most of this rain is now clearing. We're still seeing some heavier pulses coming in from the west, and that's why we still have a warning issued. But for most areas, the rain is becoming less persistent, i.e. it's not raining all the time. We're starting to see some more gaps in the precipitation, and it should slowly clear through this evening. So most areas will be fairly dry overnight as we head into tomorrow. But as you can see here, still some oranges and reds appearing, so still some real heavy pulses of rain. Now, if you look at the temperatures, you can see it's taking quite a hit to Scotland's temperatures, with lots of blues around indicating temperatures really only in the mid to high single digits. But it has been a generally milder day today because of those breaks in the rain. It has allowed temperatures to rise a little bit, but nowhere near as warm as it is further southwards across much of England and Wales, where you can see some dark oranges or even glimpses of reds appearing. Summer temperatures. Average July temperatures, or even above average July temperatures we're looking at the moment, with temperatures around that 24, 25 or 26 degree mark. Really quite pleasant and warm. You see even hotter across France into the 30s here. For the UK, it's more of a moderate heat, but I think a lot of people are loving it at the moment. Now, if you put it on the past 24-hour precipitation, we'll be able to see where the bulk of the rainfall has fallen since yesterday afternoon. And you can see it's pretty much north of Glasgow and Edinburgh, that line there. And you can see much of the Highlands of Scotland has really been peppered. Aberdeenshire's taken more of a hit of the rainfall in the last 24 hours. We did see an amber warning issued there last night, but it has now expired. Remember, these are the rainfall amounts in the past 24 hours. These yellows and oranges, we're looking at 40 to 80 millimetres in this large area. But it is in the last 24 hours. If we go back to Friday as well, we can pretty much double the amounts of rainfall we've seen here. So many areas seeing in excess of 100 millimetres and as much as 200 millimetres in a few spots. So truly exceptional amounts of rainfall. And we have to remember that this is what's fallen out of the sky. The rainfall will start to accumulate in the rivers. It will start to accumulate already, but it will peak perhaps in the next 12 to 24 hours. So we'll see less ground flooding and flash flooding, but we perhaps could see more river flooding in the next day or two. So got to keep a real close eye out for that. Again, Scotland is well acclimatised for rainfall. It does rain a lot in Scotland. It's just the climatology, but this really is a lot of rain in a very short space of time across a wide spread area. It's not just one area, one small part of Scotland. It's the whole of sort of central and northern Scotland has been really peppered by this. So we've got to keep an eye out over the next couple of days, even though the rainfall is now starting to subside. Now, if you do look at the weather warnings, we have got a widespread yellow rain warning issued for much of that area where we've got 100 plus millimetres of rainfall. It does expire at 7 p.m. today as the rainfall will subside. And you can see, if we do go downwards, we could see an additional 20 to 30 millimetres in a few spots and 10 to 15 millimetres in a few hours. High impact increasing in likelihood. Again, there probably could still be an amber warning issued, but it has now expired. And we do have another yellow warning issued for Tuesday here. For Western Scotland from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. on Tuesday, heavy rainfall will affect parts of Western Scotland, bringing a risk of some additional flooding and transport disruption. Again, it's mainly because it's following this very heavy rainfall we've seen this weekend. Following disruptive rainfall across much of Scotland in recent days, a further period of fairly heavy rainfall is likely to affect many western parts of Scotland. During Tuesday, although nothing like the amounts seen on Saturday. Before the rain begins to clear away southwards during Tuesday afternoon, we could see 15 to 25 millimetres, maybe 40 to 50 millimetres, which is a large amount of rainfall, but probably wouldn't warrant a yellow warning normally, or maybe only in a few locations. But the reason why this has been mainly issued is because it's on top of all the rainfall that has already fallen. However, if we go over to net weather now, you'll be able to see that further southwards, temperatures have been stunning. Look at this, widely 23 to as high as 26 degrees down across Jersey. But for London, we're seeing around 25. So very pleasant, warm, early October day. Again, insanely hot upper air temperatures, and I hope everyone has gone out and enjoyed it this weekend. We're still going to see another couple of days of this low 20s, but it is slowly losing its intensity now, which is inevitable being early October, but also because colder air is starting to nudge in, and that's colder air is probably going to arrive on Tuesday, Wednesday time with that initial weather front that's bringing very heavy rain in Scotland, as we saw from that weather warning, but it will progress southwards, that rainfall. And we can see that on the latest UKV. You can see the rain through this morning. It was a real heavy pulse early this morning, but it is now starting to subside. And you can see around the 4-5 p.m. point, really only patches of rainfall remaining, and overnight hours it should diminish almost nothing, just some thicker cloud in places. Into tomorrow, it's actually going to be a widely dry day, so it's going to be actually really quite nice. A few patches of sunshine around, but still plenty of cloud in places. Into Tuesday, though, you can see why we got that weather warning issued, because heavy rain's going to push back in, but this is the initial signs of cold air moving back in. You can see that weather front initially tries to push in, but it really gets re-engaged through Wednesday with some really quite heavy rain across many central and southern areas through Wednesday evening as that heavy rain moves in. It will continue to progress as we head into early hours of Thursday, and eventually we're all into fresher air by Friday, and you can see Atlantic weather systems are moving in, and you can see still got some warm air in the south, but nowhere near as warm as we are on the southern side of the low, but you can see cold air is out to the north, and this temperature contrast is just going to power these low pressure systems coming in from the west. You can see a flat westerly here with lots of heavy rainfall. So you see the temperatures today peaking around that 23, 24, 25, and of course 26 degrees across Jersey through this afternoon, and into tomorrow we could see similar temperatures, maybe even slightly higher in some locations, widely again low to mid 20s. So another great day tomorrow. Tuesday could still be pretty decent in southern and eastern areas, but for Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, parts of Wales and Northern England, things will start to turn cooler as that rainfall moves in. But still, 23, 24, 25 or 26 degrees is possible. Finally, into Wednesday, just ahead of that weather front before it arrives, we could see 21 or 22 around 3 p.m. But behind it, look at that, low teens as that cold air is nudging in. And by Thursday, we're all in fresher air. We could just about nudge a 19 or 20 degrees in the far southwest, but most areas are in the low teens as rain and cloud spreads in, bringing back proper autumnal weather. Now, if you look at the longer range, we'll be able to see the very changeable pattern that is looking likely to dominate as we do spread into the middle of the month. You can see eventually low pressure arrives by this middle of the working week, and into next weekend we've got a pretty flat westerly, high pressure trying to build in the south, low pressure further northwards, and it does mean we'll have some times of drier, warmer weather, but plenty of rain and cooler weather at times as well. We could see even some northerly winds at times, and some sliding lows. So it could be quite a wild experience in places, and generally into the longer term. Look at that, low pressure coming straight off the Atlantic with a northwesterly breeze. So cold air coming into the backside of this low, mild air coming up ahead of it, and you can see that on the temperature deviation, this wrap around, and all it's going to do is intensify these lows, giving lots of rainfall, and you can see the accumulated precipitation here giving very heavy rain up and down the country. You can see at the moment it's primarily across Scotland, but by the end of this run, the whole of northwest Europe is going to be peppered as the jet stream powers up. If we go back to the GM, again, the southerly winds continue to stay strong until around Wednesday before low pressure moves in. We actually see quite a potent northerly wind from the GM here. Again, it's not too much different to the GFS, just slightly sharp with that northerly flow, so colder air comes in for a time towards next weekend. Beyond that, towards day 10, we do see some high pressure trying to build in the south, but still plenty of low pressure in off the Atlantic. And again, another very changeable pattern, and we're likely to see more rainfall here. You can see more batches of rainfall waiting out of the Atlantic, ready to push in. If you look at the latest ECMWF, again, we're going to see southerly winds dominate until Wednesday. That low comes in, again, could see a bit of a northerly flow, but nowhere near as sharp as the GM is. And again, more cooler northerly winds until next Monday. Could see a bit of a ridge of high pressure there, so that could hold those northerly winds for a bit longer. And you can see the -5 isotherm gets close for another low, sweeps in off the Atlantic, powered by all these temperature contrasts, keeping us very unsettled as we do progress in towards the middle of the month. Now, if you finally look at the ensembles, you can see it's very warm over the next sort of 3-4 days. We do see generally no precipitation till around Wednesday, and then we see some very high precipitation levels quite widely, and we see little bits up and down in the upper air temperatures as weather fronts sweep through, but generally in the longer range we're back towards average with lots of rainfall, and the 2-metre temperatures are taking quite a hit. Low 20s till about Wednesday, and then we're looking at mid-teens or low teens at times beyond that. If we go back to the ECMWF, it's looking fairly similar, but even more rainfall from the ECMWF ensembles for Wednesday, Thursday time. And again, that decreasing upper air temperatures, perhaps a bit more of a potent colder air mass there, around the 15th, 16th, 17th, a couple of degrees below average there, which is a little bit lower than the GFS ensembles was, before we rise again to average or above average for the early part of the 20s of October. So it is looking much more changeable, much more unsettled, and much more generally autumnal from around Wednesday onwards, with lots of rainfall around, not just in Scotland, but widely. Very variable temperatures. Some days could be in the high teens or even touching 20 degrees. Days could be struggling around 8 or 9 degrees. We're going to see wet, windy, plenty of low pressure. As I said, typical autumnal conditions are going to eventually take over from this late burst of summer we've seen in southern and central areas. As I said, make sure you go out and enjoy the next few days. As I said, we most likely will not see anything remotely as good as this until probably next April at the earliest. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Do stay safe out there if you are up in Scotland with all that rainfall we've seen, and of course still rain falling in the next couple of days. And I'll see you again for another video soon.